Hey guys, my name is Matteo, and welcome to another episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming or Battlefield-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formats out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that can be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. The first question for today comes from Brent, and it is, do you think that the Flashbangs are overpowered in Battlefield 4? I don't know how I feel about these, because on the one hand, I'm ecstatic that they're finally a viable grenade type. For the last year and a half, let's be completely honest, these things were pretty much useless. You could throw them into a small enclosed room on Team Deathmatch or Operation Lockers, for example, get a hit marker, and then round the corner, assuming that you would be fine to run on in and try to secure the kill with your assault rifle. You'd notice that there was only one guy in there to begin with. He was the only one that could have been affected by the flashbang, but as soon as you round the corner, he is of course not affected by it whatsoever, and he puts a bunch of bullets into your face. It happened over and over and over again. Sure, you could have gotten lucky every once in a while. You may have been able to secure a few kills simply because of the flashbang, but for the most part, this thing was pretty much completely useless. On the other hand now, this thing is now to the point where if you do play on TDM, or you're playing on a small enclosed map like Operation Metro or Lockers, you pretty much are getting flashbang continuously, and there's not a whole lot that you can do about it. I think my biggest complaint with this grenade type is that there really isn't a lot of interaction between the player that's throwing it and the person that is on the receiving end. There are a lot of times, I'm sure this has happened to you guys as well, where you will see a flashbang fly directly towards you, you'll start to turn away from the flashbang, but even though you're not even looking directly at it, it will go off and you're still completely blinded. The enemy charges on in, they're able to secure the kill on you, and they go on their way. I feel like that's just a little bit too good. There should be some interaction. If you're skillful enough and you recognize that a flashbang is flying at you, you should have the option to try to counter it by turning away and not having the flash effect blinding your screen. I'm okay with it maybe disorienting you a little bit if you're not able to completely turn your back to the grenade, but I just feel like it's pushed too far and it's just a little bit too good. And so in my opinion, while originally when this patch went live, I thought that this was going to be awful. I thought everyone was going to switch it over to the flashbangs, it was going to be a serious issue. But now that I've played since this update, I've realized that yes, they're amazing. I would say that they're a little bit too good. They're not to the point where they're completely breaking the game. And so what I would like to see done is maybe slightly tone down the flash effect if you are able to turn your body away from the grenade as it explodes. That way some skillful players are able to work around it, and maybe also reduce how long the flash lasts on your screen. It's a little excessive at this point. I mean, there are times where I get flashbanged and I'm twiddling my thumbs for a good 10 seconds because it just refuses to go away. I realize that's realistic, I realize that's authentic, but it's to the point now where I feel like it's just a little bit too good, and I think some slight, very small nerfs are in order. That's just my 2 cents though. The next question comes from Jacob, and it is, what do you think of a weapon attachment in Battlefield 4 that indicates when you are spotted on the enemy's minimap? It could be like the TDD, but glow red when you are spotted and glow green when you're hidden. It would allow you to better flank the enemy knowing that you aren't spotted on the map. I get this question all the time, and usually my gut reaction to it is just to say no. Not only is it not realistic, but it would also be one of the best accessories to use on the battlefield. Knowing when you're spotted and when you're not spotted is a huge advantage over the competition. Like, I don't know if it would be a requirement to use this accessory, but you know that a lot of people would use it because that information is incredibly viable. That said though, the more I thought about it, the more I craved having more gadgets or accessories that would facilitate stealth combat. Right now, stealth gameplay in Battlefield 4, while it's possible, you can do it because of the commander, because of the spotting mechanic, the passive spotting mechanic. If you didn't realize this, if you're just staring at an enemy, even if you don't realize that that is an enemy off the distance, your soldier will passively spot him on the minimap. You may not get the 3D spotting, but literally all you have to do is look in the direction of an enemy. He might be standing still, and you're gonna be able to get that spot on him. It's ridiculous how many things in this game allow you to keep people on the minimap. And so from a stealth perspective, while it's not impossible to run around and take people out silently, like you can use the suppressor and it's amazing if you know what you're doing, because there are a myriad of different things that will keep you on the minimap, it is a very challenging play style. And so the more and more I thought about your little gadget, the more I warmed up to the idea, but maybe with a few exceptions. Really, they would need to take something awesome away from the weapons, and the only thing I could see that would be a deterrent for using this awesome accessory would be to require you to use the iron sights. If you couldn't use your trusty Cobra sight or a red dot, a lot of people are going to be less inclined to use this awesome accessory. I mean, let's be honest, the iron sights in the game really aren't that great. There's not a whole lot of reason to use it, but with this mechanic, not only would it get more people to use the iron sights because of this amazing accessory, I've been a huge advocate of getting people to use the iron sights, but also it would lessen the potency of this ridiculous gadget. Will DICE ever add anything like this into Battlefield 4? Probably not. Let's be honest with ourselves, I just don't see that happening, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it would be nice if DICE re-looked at stealth gameplay. It doesn't need to be the best or most viable playstyle. Actually, I don't want that, but it would be nice if it had more of a place on the battlefield so that you could have that silent assassin gameplay and really exceed if you know what you're doing and you have the tools to succeed with that role. That would be amazing. The next question is, what do you think about rewarding players more points for getting kills with the underpowered weapons in Battlefield 4? This could be a great way to incentivize people to use PDWs and specific carbines. What do you think? Now that is a really cool idea, but my only issue with it, or the only issue I can see come from this, is how do you identify what are the worst guns in the game? From DICE's perspective, they're trying to make every weapon feel viable. They want to go in from a weapon balance standpoint, go in and make sure that every gun has its place on the battlefield. Sure, they failed, and that's inevitable because there's over 100 guns in the game. It's going to be literally impossible for them to make every single gun feel unique from all of the others, but also an effective weapon. It's just not possible. And so how do you objectively decide on which guns are the worst? Do you go by statistics? Do you go by how many people use them in Battlefield 4? Do you go by the weapon stats, like rounds per minute? Do you go by the damage? Like, how would you objectively choose which ones would get this small bonus? The one way that I could see them working around it is that instead of just choosing specific weapons that suck, or what the community decides on which sucks, maybe you could have 10 guns of the week that randomly switches every single week to give the bonus to those particular weapons. That way, every single week, there is a small incentive to maybe try something other than the AEK or some of these amazing assault rifles to get that XP bonus. That way, we're not pinned down to specific weapons that maybe in the future will get an upgrade and no longer fit that category, but it also, especially since this most recent update, get people to try out these new weapons or weapons that they've never tried before, and then maybe be like, oh wow, this is actually good. I don't think I would have ever tried out the LSAT since the patch unless I played Gunmaster. After Gunmaster, I quickly realized the LSAT is a beast gun right now. It's amazing for taking people out at a distance, and I never would have known that for that game mode. And so if there was this small little incentive, this little upgrade in the points that you get for using these randomized weapons, that could be a step in the right direction. Some people might object to this because if it impacted the scoreboard, then they're not thrilled with that. A lot of people are under the mindset that if you are doing the best, if you're getting the most kills, you're getting the most revives, then you should be at the top of the scoreboard. And I can see that, especially if everything was randomized. Like one week, if the AEK did give you more points, then that would be a little absurd. But I still think it would be an interesting thing to discuss. I think that this is a really interesting idea. And so let me know your guys' thoughts down below. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. As always, if you would like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.